morning to one and all. Respected principal, respected the coordinator of this program, Dr. R. Murugesan, IQC coordinator, beloved my brother, respected friend, Dr. Krishnan, NAC coordinator, and the honorable resource person, former principal of CPA College, Dr. M. Manoharan sir, head of the department of CPA College, and learned professors from CPA College and other college, and the participants from the various area, particularly the budding scholars. Good morning to one and all. I am happy to introduce our former teacher, head of the department, and the principal of Dr. M. Manoharan sir. He almost covering the 3 decades of in teaching experience in 34 years services. But he is the alumni of SVN College, Madurai. After that, he is elevated. He is doing ICWA, and after he is working in a transport corporation, then he was joining in CPA College, and he was working more than 34 years service in CPA College, a lecturer, assistant professor, associate professor, head of the department, and the principal. After the retirement of CPA College, Manoj sir again joined to the ES Arts and Science College, Viluppuram. Then, I am proudly to say that he has completed more than 8 the PhD scholars and more than the 20 MP scholars. Then, Manoharan sir is authored 3 books. Under the 3 books is recommended and a textbook to the Madurai Kamaraj University. It's very useful to the particularly the commerce students. The title of the book is Business Statistics and the Business Mathematics. So all over to Madurai Kamaraj University, and other than the university people maybe study the textbooks. Then the 3rd book that will be in biostatistics. Then he was acted as a resource person more than the 50s, and he was trained to the skill development training for the ED entrepreneur development is more than 30. So among these is expertise in SPSS package. Almost he covered or touched the more than 100 PhD theses in all over to the India. In particularly, he is an expert in statistical package system software. Then, at the time of the CPA College, he was acted as a coordinator of the planning forum, the CWED, Center for Women's Welfare Department in CPA College. So during the first NAC in our college, the CWED is getting the more marks for our NAC period. Apart from that, so in our college, I think the 20 years back, வாருங்கள் தொழில் தொடங்குவோம் என்ற தலைப்பில் ஒரு 7 நாள் ஒர்க் ஷாப் மிக சிறப்பாக நடைபெற்றது. அதில் more than 100 members are attended each and every session. It's a very good experience to our students and the teachers. Then he is a very good agriculturist, and he is planning the so many activities and he human being. உதவின்னு போய் கேட்டா மறுக்காமல் செய்யக்கூடிய ஒரு நல்ல மனிதர். So on behalf of our college, the IQC, I am warm welcome to the former principal, Dr. M. Manoharan sir. Then, so the today's session, the title that will be in research methodology in social science. Is a very good title, in particularly the guides and the budding scholars. So I think you have enjoyed the session. So please attend patiently and listening. If you have any doubt, ask at the end of the session. Now the forum should be given to the Dr. M. Manoharan sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Very good, friends. First of all, before analyzing something about the application of statistical tools and research, first of all, I want to know what is the basic objective of research. I think the most important reason is most important objectives of doing research is fact finding and find a solution to a problem. Fact finding. So what is fact finding? So everywhere there is a fact. This fact we have to find out only through our research time. Fact finding. So what is the fact? I shall give you one simple example. You know, lakhs and lakhs of years, apple fruit was falling down from the tree. It didn't go either upwards or downwards. It was falling down. Mr. Isaac Newton wanted to know the reason. What fact? The apple is coming down instead of going upwards or down, upwards or sideways. He wanted to know the fact. And through the research, he came to know that gravitation is the main reason the apple has come down instead of going upwards or downwards. So this is a fact. And also, we have to find number of facts. Why the marketing people want to know why, how, what factors motivated the persons, motivated the consumers to buy a particular brand of motorbike? What motivated them? What facts? There are a number of categories, there are a number of criteria. Maybe the main reason to purchase a particular bike, but we want to do. So this is one of the finding of the fact, whether it's an economy, or resale value, or status, or pickup, or price of the particular vehicle, etc. So what? So unless they know the fact, no one would produce according to the need of the consumers. Likewise, research is main aim is to find out a solution to a problem. So everywhere there is a problem, and through the research, we are going to find out a solution. The reason is corona epidemic. So it's a problem, and through research, we can find out what fact, what is the fact, what is the reason for the epidemic. So this is the case. Friends, by finding out the facts, what we are going to do? We are going to take decision. That is a decision making. Everywhere, decision making is the most important event in everyone's life. Whether it's an industry or a business or a personal individual or a family, whatever it may be, the right decision gives right success. So right decision making, right decision at the right time enables to get success in any business organization. So the decision making. So the decision making should be done based on the facts. Based on the facts. Okay, very good. Yes, we are going to take the decision. And there are two ways of finding out the facts. Two ways. Number one, unscientific method or trial and error method. Number two, scientific method. Unscientific method, trial and scientific method. So unscientific method of taking decisions. Okay. Now I shall give a simple example. I want to explain each and every point through small examples, which you can be able to understand easily. First of all, a question arises. Shall I marry a particular girl? Shall I marry a particular boy? Okay. So this is the decision that he has to take. Okay, good. Now, in the unscientific manner, what we do, what the people do, they go to the temple, they draw a flower, red and white flower. If in the draw, if you get white flower, yes, it's okay to the marriage. If there is a red flower, no, there's no, the God has not given any consent to the particular marriage. So this is a unscientific method of taking decisions. And also, shall I start a business? It's another question. In that case, they consult horoscope. If the horoscope person says, no, you should not start a business for a period of 6 months, then they will not start a business. Okay? Yeah. So this is another aspect. So in that circumstances, what we do is scientific method of taking decisions. What is scientific method of taking decisions? For example, let us take the same example. Okay. For example, the decision, what is the question? Shall I marry a particular boy? If you want to take the decision, I want to know various facts about the boy. What are the various facts? What about his educational status? What about his health reports? What about his moral character? What about his family background? What about the good looking? What about his sense of humor? So these are the various aspects where he has to get quantitative data about all these aspects. So once he get quantitative data about all these aspects, so you know there are quantitative data as well as qualitative data. Now we are mainly dealing with the statistics, mainly deals with quantitative data. Suppose in some cases, if it's qualitative data, then it should be converted into quantitative data by applying scoring techniques. Then we will see later. So if you want to take the decision, shall I marry a particular boy, he has to get factual data about education status, health reports, moral character, family background, looking, good looking, and sense of humor, etc. So if we, on the basis of this, if you take any decision, definitely the result will hold good, the decision will be right. Okay? Like this, shall I start a beauty parlor? Another decision that is a particular boy or girl has to take. Shall I start a beauty parlor? Yes. What are the points to be considered? Instead of drawing a flower, we are going to get facts about what about the female population of the town. Suppose you are going to start a particular beauty parlor at Bodinayakuno, then what shall we do? First of all, the entrepreneur must know, prospective entrepreneurs must know what is the female population, total female population of the town. What is the number of Kalyana Mandapams are there? How many upper class female populations are there? How many number of college going girls are there? How many number of colleges are there? What is the capital required to start at the particular business? What about the rate of return? So unless he know the fact about all these things, he could not take the right decision. Okay, so that's why we can say what now come to the point. The thing is, friends, we have to take decision. The edit for every success, we have to take the right decision. First point, whoever it may be, as I've already told you, whether it's individual, whether it's a business, whether it's a family, whoever it may be, right decision is very essential. To take the right decision, we need quantitative data, quantitative facts. Okay, very good. Quantitative, because qualitative data may not be, may be good, but it may not be authoritative. Qualitative data differs from person to person, place to place. Okay, so this is the case. Person to person, place to place. In this case, we need quantitative data. So to get the quantitative data, we need statistics. Okay. So now what statistics? Statistics nothing but we can say statistics deals with qualitative data, quantitative data. So statistics deals with quantitative data. So to take the decision, we need facts. The facts must be quantitative. For that aspect, we are going to make use of the statistics. So the statistics, I want to say in brief about all this point, then we will concentrate mainly about the application of statistical source. In the statistics, generally we mean, friends, it contains 5 aspects. Number 1, collection of data, classification of data, presentation of data, analysis of data, and interpretation of data. Now I want to say something about the various aspects briefly, and we will go further. First of all, let us take collection of data, because collection of data is very, very essential for the wording and the research scholars and researchers. This is one of the base, it's a foundation, it's a base without which we could not proceed further. Okay, so whenever we are talking about the collection of data, we have to consider 2 aspects. Number 1, sources and the technique. What are the sources of collection data and techniques of collecting the data? Now let us see what sources of collecting data. The sources, we can say primary sources and secondary sources. Of course, everyone knows about this. Here, I want to say something about this in a brief. Okay, primary sources, collection of data from the person from whom we are going to take from the data collected from the original source. That's a primary source. See, if we want to, suppose we want to know the characteristics of the particular population, then we are going to collect the data from that particular population. That's the original data collected from the original persons. This is the primary source. But secondary source means data collected and used by somebody else. We are making use of the data collected and used by somebody else. It's called secondary data, secondary sources. So primary sources and the secondary sources. So we can collect the data either from the primary sources or secondary sources. And your question arises, which sources is the best one? Which one is better one? Friends, no doubt in it. All the sources are better one, provided it serves the purpose. It serves the purpose. If we collect data from the original persons and if it hold goods, then we have to collect data from the original sources, primary sources. Otherwise, some of the data are available only from the secondary sources, and it's a secondary source available already published. Then we collect the data from the secondary sources. So it all depends upon the purpose. Then number two, techniques. There are two techniques: census technique and sampling techniques. What's census technique? Data collected from each and every unit of the population is called census technique. Data collected from each and every unit of the population is called census technique. So each and every unit, whereas the best example is population census conducted by the government of India. So it's a census technique. So suppose we want to collect the data about the buying behavior of the students of CPA college. If we collect the data from each and all the 2000 students directly, it is called census technique. Okay, we are going to collect the data from all the respondents, each and every respondents of the particular unit or particular population. Okay, it's a census technique. Then the census technique, friends, it's really accuracy. We get 100% accuracy, more reliable, more accurate, etc., etc. But it suffers from two most important reasons. Number one, costly and time-consuming process. The research scholars, you and I, Temple scholars and PhD scholars, may not find time to apply this particular census technique, or they may not find out the amount for this particular aspect. So so in that case, so what's alternative we can do for sampling techniques? That means data collected from only a small representative population of the sample. Data collected only from a small representative population. Small representative population is called the sampling techniques. Okay. So my another question arises here: whether data collected only from a small representative population is whether it's reliable, whether it's accurate. Problem is the answer is definitely it will be more accurate, more reliable, provided it must satisfy two important conditions. Number one, as Humbert laws, law of inertia of large number. Law of inertia of large number means when the sample size increases, automatically the accuracy will also be increased. Sample size increases, accuracy of the sample also increases. That's why there must be adequate sample size. Sample size must be adequate. Then the sample must be representative. That's very important. We could not suppose if we want to collect the data from the students of CPA college. From that case, you could not collect the data. You should have to collect the data only from the among the students. We collect the data from away from the students of CPA college. It's not representative. So the research scholar must very carefully note that the data must be collected only from the respondent who are representing the particular population. That's very essential. So the sampling, here it says sampling. So sampling generally, almost all cases, sampling techniques are applied because of its more reliable accuracy, minimum time. So that's why we can say all these points will add value to this particular sampling technique. So sampling is an important technique. Friends, the collection of data, we have to concentrate on two areas: number of sources and technique. Primary sources, data collected from the original population is called primary sources. Data collected secondary means data collected from already published sources is called secondary sources, and published and unpublished sources, techniques, census technique, and the sampling technique. So these are the two important areas that we have to consider before doing this. The next one, The data collected must be properly interpreted. It must consolidate, and it must be made available by way of diagrams and graphs, so that even illiterate people can also visualize the data. It is understandable. So the presentation of data is the second aspect, and the third one is third one is uh, uh, third one is analysis of data. Analysis of data means when analysis of data, we are going to see various aspects. Analysis of data is very important. What is analysis of data? Mainly interpretation of data. Analysis of data means it's very important area. Analysis means careful and critical examination of data. We have collected the data, we have presented the data, and we will find the data. We will find the data only through proper analysis. Analysis means careful and critical examination of the data. Careful and critical, in-depth analysis. So for that purpose, how we can do it? How we can analyze? To analyze the data, we are going to make use of number of statistical tools. We are going to make use of number of statistical tools. Okay, so number of statistical. For example, in correlation, regression, percentage. So everything says statistics. Statistical tools. Another question arises. ANOVA, something like that. It does have test. Another question arises. Sir, whether which one is the best tool? Whether mean is the best tool or ANOVA is the best tool. Which one is the best tool? Then there is no one best tool. It depends upon the purpose. Even percentage analysis scored good. So most important analysis socioeconomic of the sample respondent. The mean is very essential to know the performance of the particular category. So by each tool has its own impact, has its own importance. So we could not classify which is the best tool. Somebody says that these are very good tools. No, there's no such tools. I'm going to give you the importance and the application of statistics tool in each by giving appropriate examples. I'm going to give you very carefully, friends. Now I'm going to give you the data. I have given the data. Now, for example, runs scored by cricket player A and runs scored by cricket player. It's a very good example. And the cricket player A has scored 100 runs in game 1. In game 2, he has scored 90 runs, and game 3, 5, game 4, 15, and game 5, 20 runs. Totally, out of the 5 games, he has scored 240 runs. As far as Mr. Player B is concerned, he has scored 40 runs in the first, 50 in the second, 30 in the third, 45 in the fourth, and 35 in the fifth. Total score is 190 in the set, scored by Player B. Now the question arises. This is the data given to you. Now, as a researcher, you have to find out the facts. Which fact that we are going to find out? That's very easy, friends. The research scholars, please note down very carefully. In the researcher, you have to find out the research. You will find out the fact. It's very essential. Fact, everywhere there is a fact. You have to find out the fact. To find out the fact, we are giving them statistics will helpful to you. That's the case. Okay. So in this case, runs scored by cricket player A, runs scored by cricket player B. Here, friends, in that case, we can, who is you can take 2 decisions. Who is the efficient player? Who is the consistent player? This is 2 important areas. You are going in deep. So you have to be very careful about who is an efficient player, who is a consistent player. So now we the score is 240, total score is 190. Yeah. How we can get this? Who is who is the efficient player? For that purpose, we can find out the average to find out the efficient player. Average of runs player A and average runs scored by player B. Okay, is that here? The average score of player B is 48 and the average score of player B is 38. Now, yes, while analyzing the evidence, we come to know that player efficient than player B. But the analysis this doesn't come to an end. Okay, we have to go in deep. Whatever the fact that we want to extract, we have to apply more number of tools one by one. That's very essential. Please note very carefully. By applying one tool, we can find out one fact. By applying another tool, we can apply also another fact. In such a way, we can extract as much as possible by applying various statistical tools. For example, now another one, consistent player. Who is a consistent player? Is an efficient player. Is consistent. With a consistent player for that purpose, we are applying the statistical tool is coefficient of variation. That is standard deviation by mean into 100. Coefficient of variation. So by coefficient, here as far as player A is concerned, the coefficient of variation is 90. As it is 24 in by player B. 90% for player A and 24% for player B. It means there is a 90% inconsistency as far as player is concerned. Here, you know, he has scored very good score, 110, 90 extra score, but at the same time, his minimum score is 5. So there's a wide variation between small and large. It should not be the case. It should not be the case. There must be a consistency, closeness. There should not be any wider should not be there. As far as player B is concerned, here is only 24% variation. That means, of course, he didn't score very good score. Whereas player A 110, he has scored maximum score of 50. But here the thing is, he has 52. The minimum score is 50, 25, and maximum score is 50. This can never. So in that case, first respondent 65 income rupees, second respondent 80, then 38 respondents. As per Dal B, the respondents are given. The total income of all the 8 respondents, Dal A and Dal B, comes to only 880. Now the question arises: which taluk can be declared as the most backward taluk, whether taluk A or taluk B? Now the total income of taluk A is 880, total income of taluk B is only 880. Now we go to decide, the researcher, we go to find out the fact is backward taluk. So for that item, what is the average income? You have to decide what is average income and whether more number of people earn more than average income. Now I shall explain. Listen. Analysis. Taluk A, taluk B. What is the average income? Taluk A 1. Taluk B average income is 1. Now model income is 100. Here model income is 120. Skewness is 0.24. Here the skewness is taluk B is concerned minus 0.22. 0.24 with 0.22. Now we have to say which one is the most backward taluk. Okay, now you can analyze the data. See, as far as taluk is concerned, the average is 110. How many number of people are earning more than average? Here only two public people has earned income more than average. That average is 110. Here 160, 185. So only 2% are earned above average. As far as taluk B is concerned, above average 110. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6% are earning above average. 6. Then that means what? That means here, as far as taluk B is concerned, more number of people are earned above average, and as taluk A is concerned, more number of people are earned below average. More number of people below average. So in that case, what is our interpretation? Average income is the same for both taluks. Taluk A skewness is positive. It means more number of people earned less than the average income. As far as taluk B is concerned, the taluk with the skewness is negative. It means more number of people earned more than the average income. And the conclusion is the earning capacity of the taluk A is lesser than taluk B because the concentration is more average, is more than average. The thing is, by considering the standard of living of the workers, more number of people should come to the job. One point. Mean wages as far as So this is main wages as far as before settlement 43.5, whereas it is 47.55. So the average wage paid has increased after settlement. Okay. So now so this, settlements may go good for the employees because previously it was 33.5, now it has been increased to 47.5. Median wage is 48.5, 8.5 is less. The standard deviation equal now 10. The deviation is reduced after settlement. Now, so by this data, what fact that we are going to find out? Number one, we can find out what is the total amount of wage by the first point. Number one, we can examine the inequality in the payment of wages amount. Inequality. So there must be equality in the payment of wages. Now, what about the extent of inequality we can find out, and whether more number of persons or workers are getting salary above average or below average. These are the three important aspects that we can friends find the total wages paid by the management. We can easily find out total number of workers divided into the average wages. We can get the total wages. Okay. To examine the extent of inequality. Inequality here for the purpose, we can apply coefficient of variation, consistency, inequality, all of the aspects, coefficient of variation. Friends, it's very important for which tool we are going to make. So that's very essential. Okay, unless you know the purpose of the particular tool, there's no meaning in doing this. Okay, so that's why I'm telling you, again and again. Here to find out the efficiencies, we can cover it. To find out the consistency, fluctuation, variation, etc., we can find out the coefficient of variation. To find out the whether more number of persons, more number of respondents are falling above average or below average. For that purpose, we are applying skewness. So we have found so far we have found out three. Now we will find out the results of this particular case. Okay, friends, total wages before settlement. I already told you total number of workers, average wages. So it was 1,09,200 before settlement. Now it was increased to 1,11,065 after settlement. So now it's advantages to the manager, workers, because previously the total age is 1,09,000. Now it just increased to 1,11,000. So it's advantages to the workers. And coefficient of variation. Before settlement, it was 6.37%. Now it is reduced to 21.05%. That means there is a consistency, that is inequality has been reduced when comparing the previous before settlement. After settlement, the inequality of the workers in payment of wages has reduced. So there's a inequality has reduced. So there's consistency. So there's some sort of consistency is there after the settlement. So it's also advantage to the workers. So previously total wages advantage to the workers. Coefficient of variation, consistency, equality, advantage to workers. The last item, coefficient of skewness. Before settlement, it was minus 0.65. After settlement, it's 0.75. That means who is benefited, who's advantage, to whom it is more advantageous, since before settlement minus 0.625, it's negative, skewness is negative, it means more number of workers are getting above average. Whereas after settlement, wages increase, but though equality reduced, more number of workers are getting salary below average. Below average, it is very unfavorable to the workers. Unfavorable to the workers. Okay? Unfavorable to the workers. So this is also another important area. So these are three another tools. You can please make use of another research. Very friends, another important area. I want to give two aspects: advertisement expenses and sales. Now generally, unless you know the relationship between the two variables, they could not come to any meaningful conclusions. First, whether they say relationship. See, in the world, in personal life, Relationship is very, very essential. Relationship no meaning in our life. So as far as possible, we have to maintain a relationship with each other. Father and son, father and mother, colleagues, friends, brothers, everyone we want to have a relationship. That's very essential. Likewise, in business also, advertisement expenses and sales. Whether the salesman know, whether the salesman must know whether advertisement is effective in his not to find out whether advertisement is in these days. First of all, we want to know whether there is any relationship between advertisement expenses and sales. So, advertisement expenses and sales. First we go to find out whether there is a relationship is there. Then, yes, okay, whether there is relationship. If there's a relationship, then we must find out whether what is the nature of relationship. There is a positive relationship, or there is a negative relationship, or there is no relationship. So positive or negative. What's a positive relationship? Increase in one variable results in increase in another variable is called a positive positive relationship. Okay. Suppose the more rainfall, more fertilizer result in more yield. More fertilizer result in more yield is a positive relationship. Less fertilizer results in less production is also positive or negative? Negative, no, positive. So they move in the same direction. That is, two variables move in the same direction. We say it's a positive. Whether it's a negative or same if the two variables move in opposite direction, it is called negative relationship. Negative relationship is increase in the advertisement, increase in the gold price results in increase in the demand. It's a negative relationship.
Okay. I clearly explained. I explained previously with positive and negative correlation. Then third one, we can also find out the trend of also we can put down. Okay. For example, if there's advertisement comes to be 60, then sales expected 1,000. Sales 1,000. If the actual expense advertisement was 62, then the sales affected was 1,100. The actual expenses incurred 71, where the sales affected was 1,400. Now the question is, suppose if we are going to spend rupees 90 towards advertisement, what would be the sales? What would be the sales? So in that case, we can also find out we can also estimate the feature. We can find out estimate the feature. Now, for reason whether there is a relationship. If there is a relationship, what is the nature of relationship, and what is and cause and effect? That's our analysis. Also cause and effect. So these three things we can find out through the analysis. That's very essential. It's very, very important. And this can be applied in almost all our research activities. Okay, good. Now listen, I'm going to analyze this one. So here one, the advertisement expenses, sales. When the advertisement expenses is 90, the sales would be expected sales would be 2,522. Whereas as far as and then even the same example, there 1995 the production was 50, 96 production was 40, 98, 65. What would be the production during the year 2005? That is, the production for the year 2005 is 117.4. So this is the case. So this particular analysis here, we have applied number one, regression. Applied regression. Through regression, we can find out all the three. That is, whether there's a relationship, then if there's a relation, what's the nature of relationship, and cause and effect. All these things we can find out through regression analysis. Very good, friends. Next item, secondary data. Here, this secondary data, cardamom export from India. So this is the data. 10 years data is given to you. Almost all our activities, all our research, we are applying this particular tool. Okay. So this is the data given to you. Now, what type of fact that you are going to find out of it? And so, friends, researchers, note very carefully. First, by looking into the data, you must decide what type of data that you are going to get out of it. What type of fact that you are going to get out of it. What type of fact? Then number two, to get the fact, what statistical tools that you are going to apply. These are the two important aspects that you must very careful about it. Okay, here, for example, I shall give you 4 points. Number one, listen. Average export from per annum. So from the data, from the given cardamom export from India, we can find out 4 facts. Number one, average export per annum from India. Fluctuations in cardamom export is another fact that you are going to find out. Trend in cardamom export and growth rate. Imagine, these are the 4 facts that we can find out of this particular fact. From this fact, from this data, we can find out we can find out 4 facts. Number one, average export, then consistency or fluctuation in cardamom export, trend in cardamom export, and growth rate. For reference, you know, to find out the average export per annum, what is the statistical tools that you can apply? Listen, what statistical tool? Average. So by applying simple average, you can find out the average export per annum. Then fluctuations in cardamom export, fluctuations. So fluctuations in cardamom export. So what type of tool that you are going to apply? Fluctuations, you know, please remain. That is coefficient of variation. Coefficient of variation. Trend in cardamom export. Trend. To find out the trend, you have to apply regression analysis. Regression analysis. To find out the growth rate, compound growth rate may be applied here. Compound growth rate can be applied here. It's very, very, very important tool, important fact for the researchers. Please note very carefully. Now, first, trend in cardamom export. This is the trend in cardamom export. The next one, trend, growth, and magnitude of variability. Listen the data here. Coefficient variation is 0.047. That is significant 1% level. So the result is significant. That means the common growth rate is 11.43. That means the cardamom export from India is increasing at the rate of 11.43% per annum. Significant increase is there. See, through this one, we can find out whether this is a significant increase or not. A significant increase. And the coefficient of variation is 32.61. It means that is there is 32.64% variation in export of cardamom from India. You must not do it. So we have to decide whether it's consistent or not. See, suppose there should not be much fluctuations in exports. This year 100, next year 2000, another year 150, another year no minimum. So you should know the case. There must be consistency 40, 50, 60, 45, 75, something like that. So there must be consistency. So as far as this particular data is concerned, there is a positive increase, positive trend, growth rate trend is positive, and common growth, the growth rate is 11.43% per annum. Coefficient of variation is 32.64% variation. This is another important rule, friends. Note very carefully. Next one, friends, another important aspect, friend. So far, we are dealing with only one sample. Now we are going to deal with two samples. Two samples. Two samples. Here, two samples means here, whenever we are analyzing the two samples, we have to concentrate on 4 aspects. Number one, in that case, we have to find out. We have to find out first. We have to find out. We have to fix a hypothesis. First one. Then we have to find out the size of the sample size. Third one, we have to analyze the dependency, whether it's an independent sample or dependent sample, etc. So in such a way, we have to look into the data. Very good, friends. Now, I have given you 2 data. You must know the importance of data. Friends, suppose if anyone wants to start a chicken farm, a country chicken farm, then in that case, they have to give fodder to the chickens. Okay. In that case, 2 brand fodders are available. Fodder A, fodder B. Now, fodder A, fodder B, 2 brand fodders are available. 2 brand fodders. Now, which brand you are going to give to your chicken? That's very important. So this is a very important decision. Unless you have a quantitative data about this, you could not take a meaningful decision. Okay, this should be done. There must be quantitative base. Okay. So in that case, whether you are going to give fodder A, fodder B, now the particular researcher are collected data. At the end of the first, there are two fodder A. Some chickens were given to fodder A, some chickens were given fodder B. For the fodder A, the first week of at the end of the first week of the chicken which was given fodder A, the increase in weight was 14 grams. Second week, 7 grams, 9 grams, etc. As far as fodder A is concerned. As far as fodder B is concerned, 9 grams, 11 grams, something like that. So there are 10 samples in fodder A and 11 samples in fodder 12. 11 samples in fodder B. Okay. Now this is the case. Now we have to find out whether fodder A is superior than fodder B or fodder B is superior than fodder A. Which fodder is influencing the growth of the chicken? That's important. Which fodder, whether fodder A or fodder B, increase the weight of the chicken, we will compare with the another fodder. That's the case. Friends, here as I already told you, first of all, we have to fix the hypothesis. And hypothesis, what is hypothesis? Hypothesis is nothing but tentative conclusion temporarily drawn. Tentative conclusion temporarily drawn. Okay. So in that case, it's called hypothesis. The hypothesis, there are two types of hypothesis: null hypothesis and alternative hypothesis. Generally, we make use of null hypothesis. Null hypothesis means what? That is, there is no significant difference between the two samples. That is the case. Okay. Now let us say the hypothesis there. Now we can take one hypothesis. That is, there is no significant increase in the weight of the chicken by consuming fodder A or fodder B. Otherwise, we can say there is no difference between the fodder A and B in increasing the weight of the chicken. So this is the what we can say hypothesis. Number two, second, we will say what is the sample size? Whether it's a small size or small size. Small size means generally if the sample size is less than 30, it's got small size. More than 30, it's a large size. Generally, we say like this. So here the fodder A 10, fodder B 11. So naturally, it's a small sample. It's a sample size small. Very good. Then another one, whether the relationship between two samples, whether the samples are dependent or independent, whether the samples are dependent or independent. Then in this case, you see, fodder A consuming chickens are reared in one place. Fodder B consumed chickens are reared in some other places. So there is no relationship between two fodders and two samples. So we can say it's an independent sample. Independent sample. So now that we can apply. What is the tool that we are going to find it out? What's tool? Here, friends, small sample, independent sample. Okay, in the case, the tool is t-test we can apply. T-test we can apply. Okay, now let's listen to the thing. Hey, what is hypothesis? Both fodder A and B have the same effect in increasing the weight. Okay, now we have to find out the t value. The formula is given, the formula is available everywhere. Don't worry about it. The t value, calculated value is 0.30, degrees of freedom 2.09. Okay, now the calculated value is 0.30, whereas the table value is 2.09. Since the calculated value is less than the table value, the hypothesis is accepted. Listen once again, the calculated value 0.30. Table value, calculated value, we have to calculate. Table is available in the books. Table sheet is available. Okay, for V1 equal to 10 plus 9, 11 minus 12 equal to 19. Degrees of freedom 19. T by 0.5% significant level. Table value is 2.09 is available. These 2.09 is available in the tables. Okay. And the table value is calculated x1 bar minus x2 bar by s is something like that. So it's available in the books. It is also, we gave to calculate the 0.33. So the calculated value is less than the table value. So the hypothesis, accept the hypothesis means what? Both borders have the same effect in increasing the weight. There is either fodder A or fodder B, D is not superior to each other. Both are having the same effect. Likewise, because to compare the two samples, we can compare the longevity of two brands of picture tubes. We can compare the academic performance of the students of two colleges, two classrooms. So in such a way, whatever it may be, the sample size is too small sample, too independent, then we can apply t-test. It's another aspect. Then another one, to examine whether economic conditions of the woman has improved after becoming member of the self-help group. After becoming self-help group, whether the economic conditions of the woman has been increased. This is a very, very important real life problem. Okay. See, previously women are reluctant to go to the bank. They are reluctant to do any business. They were very much reluctant to come out of the home, etc. Now the situation has changed. They themselves formed a group called self-help groups. They do business. They go to banking. Their empowerment has been increased. They attend the functions, etc. Everything they do marketing, etc. So now because of joining in the self-help group, whether the economic conditions has been increased or not. This is another item. I shall give one example. For example, like this, we can compare the two items. Before attending coaching class, what was his score? After attending after attending this, after attending coaching classes, what was his? So in such a way, whether there is a significant increase in the score after attending coaching classes. So in such a way, we can compare. Okay. Now this is an example. Now listen to the example. Income of the self-help group. I have taken 12 samples, 12 members. Income of, before member of self-help group, the income was 4,400, 4,000, 6,100, and 7,200, etc. Something like that. After becoming member, the income, as far as respondent number 1 is concerned, previously it was 4,400, now it has increased to 5,300. Okay. Now this is the case. As far as respondent 2 is concerned, 4,000, now it is reduced to 800, as reduced by 200. Previously it was 4,000, now it is reduced by 200. As far as respondent 3 is concerned, previously it was 6,100, now it is 6,900. There is an increase by 800 rupees. As far as the respondent, so there is an increase and decrease in both cases there. So in that case, we have to analyze. So now the fact what we are going to find out it is, whether the economic conditions of the self-help woman has increased after becoming self-help group members. Okay. Now hypothesis. What is hypothesis? First we have hypothesis. Number of size of the sample 12. So it's a small sample. Number 3, relationship. What is a dependent or independent? In that case, it is dependent or independent? Dependent, because the income after becoming member is depending on the previous income, membership. So because of the member, yes, her income has increased. So there's a dependent. So it's the dependent sample, dependent sample, small sample. So in that case, the tool that we are going to apply is paired T sample. P test, paired T test. Previously T test. Now paired T test. The formula, hypothesis formula, and the calculated value is 3.44. Table value is 2.201. 2.201. The calculated value is greater. Calculated value 3.44. Table value 2.201. The calculated value is greater than the table value, and hence the hypothesis is rejected. Previously, calculated value is less than the table value, accepted. Now the calculated value is more than the table value, it's rejected. It's rejected. What is conclusion? It is concluded that income level of the woman has improved after becoming a member of the self-help groups. Whether the conclusion is right? Now you must be very careful about it. See, what the result says is, previously average income was 5,400. Now the income is 5,900. Now whether the average income is increased, average income increased, whether it is significantly increased or not. Okay. Suppose if the average previously it was 5,400, suppose now it was only 5,000 only, then in that case the income significantly difference is there, but the income has been reduced. Okay, so it all depends upon the average income. So what we can conclude is the income level has been improved because previously it was 5,400, now it is 5,900. That is why we can say the income has been increased. Suppose instead of income, please take the interest paid. Previously interest paid, after interest paid. Okay, previously interest paid was 5,400. After the member, the interest paid is 5,900. Then what does it mean? What does it mean? The income interest paid is also increased. Suppose the interest paid after becoming member 5,000 means the interest paid has been decreased. So this is also an important area. So it's another important area of this particular one. And another important area, milk produced by the cooperative members and non-cooperative members of milk society. Milk production liters per day. Milk production by the milk by production cooperative member, non-cooperative member. The non-cooperative member, there are now 150 samples milk production per day. One first respondent 5 liters, second respondent 3 liter, fifth respondent 4 liter, 150th respondent 3 liters. Cooperative member, one first respondent 9, second 6, 120 with the respondent 6 liters per day. Now what fact that you are going to find out of this one? Okay, here how many samples? 2 samples. Non-member, non-member. Now cooperative non-member, cooperative member, non-member. 2 samples. Very good. What about the size of the sample? 150, 125. It is a large sample. It is a large sample. Second point. So large sample. Size. What about the dependent or independent? Independent. Because non-member rears is milky animal in one places, and member rears is milky animal in some other places. So it's a independent sample. So in that case, so large sample, independent, large sample, independent, 2 samples. So it is called, in this case, we are going to apply the Z test. We are going to apply the Z test. So large scale. Now 2 samples, no doubting. 2 samples, small, dependent, paired samples. 2 samples, small, independent, t-test. Here, 2 samples, independent, large samples is a test. That's the case. Okay, what is hypothesis? No significant difference in the average milk produced by the cooperative and non-cooperative member. It's a hypothesis. What is the calculated value? Calculated value, Z value is equal to 8.42. Z value is equal to 8.42. Table value is equal to at 1% level 2.58. 5% level 1.9%, 96%. Well, now in that case, since the calculated value 8.42 is greater than the table value 2.58, the hypothesis is rejected. Hence, we conclude that there is a significant difference in the average milk produced by the member and non-member. I made it very carefully. There is significant difference in the milk produced by the member and non-member. Okay, this is difference. Now, next question arises. Now, whether member produces more or non-member produces more, for that purpose, you got to refer the average. We got to refer the average. What is the average of the non-member? 6.2 liters. What is the average of the member? 7.8 liters. 7.8 liters. So naturally, there is a difference. See, friends, you may ask another question. Sir, there is a 6.2 liters per day. Yes, 7.8 liters per day. Then why do you unnecessarily apply the formula? Why does the need for it? It's visible, you know. It's very much visible. This only 6.2, this 7.8. Then why do you unnecessarily apply Z as something like that? Friends, your question is right. The thing is, definitely there will be difference. What we are doing is whether the difference is significant or not. Okay, whether the difference is significant. In order to find out whether the difference is significant or not, we are applying this particular Z test. Okay, so this is very important about this particular thing. So this is another one, largest sample, and another one, ANOVA. Here, friends, so far, so we analyze one sample, then we have analyzed 2 samples. So that is 2 samples. Now we are going to suppose if there is more than 2 samples. If there is more than two samples, what shall we do? If there's a more than two samples, then we are going to analyze. We are going to apply ANOVA. ANOVA, that means whether the means of the more than two samples differ significantly or not. Okay, whether the means of the more than two samples differ significantly or not. I shall give you Industrialist Association, Madurai District Small Scale Industrialist Association. They've given the data. The Entrepreneurial Development Program. Medicare 57. As when the year 2005, Odisha 60 and Kandidsia 8 samples are there. How many samples? There are 4 samples. Odisha 4 samples. Previously, so far we have seen 2 samples. Previously 1 sample, 2 sample. Now more. The result is the result is very much available. The calculated value is 3.55. F value is equal to F value is 3.55. Table value is 3.10. 3.10. Okay, 3.10. This is 3.55. Now, friends, the thing is the calculated value 3.55 is more than the table value 3.10. We come to conclusion that there is a significant difference in the average number of programs conducted by the among the among the district associations. So now there is a difference. There is a difference. Koditsia, Meditsia, Deritsia, they have conducted number of programs, and there is a significant difference among them. Okay, among them, among them there is significant difference. That's the case. Okay, very good. But now another question is this: then who has conducted more? Who has conducted less? For that purpose, you go to find out the average of the Koditsia. Average. We would have done 2, 4, 6 years. We would add the Koditsia total 6 years divided by 6. Meditsia 2, 4, 6. Add 6 divided by 6. Then Gaditsia, and find out the average. Which average is more? Which average is more? We can say that comes first. Then that comes second, etc. So this is also another important area. So ANOVA is one of the very important tool that can be applied in for when there is a more than 2 samples. More than 2 samples, friends. I like this another examples. To assess the performance of the salesmen and sales affected by different states in India. See, listen here. States, Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka. 3 states are there. Salesmen, Raman, Kumar, Roja, Vani. There are 4 salesmen are there. Now, friends, we can find out how many samples are there. Columns 1 to 4 columns, 4 samples. Here, 3 rows, 4 columns. Here, no doubt in it, we can ANOVA. Now, we can find out 2 facts. That is, whether there is a significant difference in the means sales among the salesmen, Raman, Kumar, Roja, and Vani. All are affected sales. Whether there is a significant difference in among the average sales performed by all the 4 salesmen. It's one. In that way also, we can also find out whether there is a significant differences in the sales performed by the Tamil Nadu, Kerala, and Karnataka. Among the states also, we can find out whether there is a significant difference between these 3 states. There are a number of problems that are meeting with the farmers in cultivation. Farmers' problems in cultivation, there are a number of problems. For example, poor rainfall, erratic rainfall, then pest and disease, unfavorable climatic conditions, high cost of input, non-availability of labor, non-availability of hybrid varieties, hybrid seeds, unscientific method of cultivation. In such a way, there are number of reasons for that problem. So if it is the case, then in that case, we go for the Garrett ranking technique. Understand very carefully. We have to go for the Garrett ranking technique when there are more than one reason or more than one reason for a particular problem. Okay, low productivity. As just now I have told you, there are low. What is the reason for more low productivity? I already told you. Under erratic rainfall, pest and disease, unfavorable climatic conditions, then unscientific method of cultivation, then non-availability of labor, high cost of input, etc. That may be the case. Then in that case, as a farmer, as a researcher, you have to find out which is the most important problem that must be addressed immediately. That's very, very essential. So in that case, by making some Garrett ranking technique, we are going to find out which is the most important reason, which is the less important reason, and which is unless in such a way in a descending order we are going to find out the reasons. For that item we are applying the Garrett ranking technique. As almost every researcher can make use of this particular data. Okay, here here for that purpose we have to find out the percent position. The formula is given to you. Problems faced with farmers in marketing a pepper. Okay, there are 4 problems I have given you: lack of transport, price fluctuation, indebtedness to traders, absence of grading, total 126. By this data we can find out the present position, and working the present position can find first rank. Present position 100 into 1 minus 0.1 first rank, 0.5 by 4. Second rank, third rank, 4 way. In such a way we can find out the present position, and for the present position we can find out the score. Okay, and by making use of the score is x, number of respondents on f, then we can find out the average score 41.24. Then tracker transport average score is 41.24. Price fluctuations it comes 54.39. The indebtedness it comes to 53.89, and options grading 50.48. And finally we can consolidate it. Price fluctuation Garrett mean score is 54.39, comes first rank. This is the most important problem faced by the farmers in marketing of pepper. And the indebtedness and traders is another, so it comes second. We'll compare it with the previous one. Then options of grading is the third important problem, and lack of transport is the fourth important problem. So for that purpose, for such type of problem, Garrett ranking is the most important problem. Friends, you know we have given number of tools and the purpose for which the tools can be applied. Unless you know the purpose, unless you know what fact that you are going to find out of it, then there is no meaning in studying all these items. You know, I have given you what fact that you are going to get out of it, and what the statistical tools that you are going to get out of it. To know the efficiency, we can find out the average. To know the consistency, to know the fluctuation, to know the variation, we can find out the coefficient of variation. And to find out the concentration of above average or below average, we can apply Q-ness. To find out the existence of relationships, we can find out the regression. To find out the trend value, we can also find out we can apply regression analysis. To find out the cause and effect, to estimate the feature also, we are going to apply regression analysis. To find out simply the correlation between the two variables, we can apply the correlation. Okay, and also to find out the growth rate, trend, etc. To find out the growth rate, we can apply compound growth rate. We can apply the compound growth rates. Okay, and two samples. In that case, the 2 samples we must very careful. Number whether it is a sample size, small or large. Small samples, large samples. So because the tools applied differs vary from for small and large samples. Okay, and also whether it's dependent or small samples is dependent or independent. Independent one tool, independent one tool. Two samples, independent small. 2 samples independent small. We can apply 2 samples independent small. We can apply t-test. 2 sample dependent small. We can apply paired t sample. We can apply paired t samples. 2 samples large size. We can apply z test. And when there is a more than 2, that is 3, 4, 5 samples, then in that case we can apply ANOVA. And also, friends, to find out the reasons and find the most important reasons. When there's more than one reason, we can apply Garrett ranking techniques. These are the important most important tools. By making use of these tools, we can apply for any type of data. This is the basic points, basic things. And thank you for your patient hearings, and thank you for the opportunities given by the management, principal, coordinator, and all those HODs and all others. Suppose if you have any doubts, you may please pass.
So on behalf of our CPA college, a sincere thanks to Dr. Manoharan sir. I think you are taking a serious effort to our budding scholars and to the staff members. So I sincerely thanks sir. உண்மையை சொல்லணும்னா ஸ்டாரோட ப்ரோக்ராம் வந்து 5ஆம் தேதி தான். பட் நம்மளுக்காக நேற்று ஈவினிங் சொன்ன உடனே நம்மளுக்காக வந்தாரு. ஸோ on behalf of our college, sincerely thanks to our research expert, Dr. Manoharan sir, and thanks to the principal and the IQC coordinator and the NAC coordinator and the head of the departments, the scholars, the professors from our college and our college. Thank you. And also, last but not least, I sincerely thanks to our Sadis to making the much more effort to conduct the online classes. And also thanks to the Mr. Madan Kumar. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you, one and all, for everyone for having given this opportunity.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.